Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you for tuning in and listening to a continuation of this series introducing our Skystrologists. And today I have the pleasure of introducing you to Trisha. and
Hi.
hello. Um, I would like Trisha to share her journey with you. So far, Trisha is in London. Trisha is, I believe, the only one of my students that I've met in person. Is that right?
You met Joseph. Have you met Joseph?
No, he didn't. No, he never made the appointment. Remember, we were trying to.
Oh yeah.
You didn't meet him,
Yeah.
did you? No, no.
Have I met? No. No.
It
It
feels
feels like, yeah, it feels like exactly. You know, when you just have like such deep soul connections with people, it just transcends all logic in a way, the connection that you have and the conversations that you're having with people and the things that you feel so deeply soul resonant with. You almost forget that you haven't met them in person.
I know, right? For sure, for sure. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your journey so far, Trisha.
Thank you for having me on here, Claudette. It's a pleasure as always. I love collaborating with you. So I'm excited to share my journey. My journey has been quite a bumpy one and it has a very happy ending. So that's the positive from it. That's the silver lining for sure. I was born in South Africa and I moved to the UK when I was 7. And I went through a lot of childhood trauma as a child. And that expressed itself when I was a child as me being quite shy, reserved, not fully coming into my own, underachieving even, you know, had so much capability, so much energy, so much intelligence, and I would find myself towards my later teen years really underachieving and not fulfilling my potential. Something was just off. And, you know, very challenging home life, which has really shaped me and has taught me so much about human behavior and has really given me a deep understanding of people and the way people are and my response. And so as a teen, I was very rebellious and I started going, you know, out clubbing and partying from the age of 14, which is so young. And it was very much in my innocence, you know, just dancing and having a nice time and having a new experience, which is one of my favorite things to do that I've realized as an adult is I love having new experiences. And sorry, we have one of my little
Oh,
babies.
it's perfect. He's like he's prime positioning. I love it.
He's just straight at me. Oh, let's And so I reached age 20. And that's when I really started to realize something is wrong. Before that point, I was just living my life, reacting to life, suppressing my emotions, escaping, and just kind of surfing on through life, just trying to get by, get through the day. And age 20, I became suicidal. And that's when I really realized, like, oh, wait, something's really wrong here. And in the depths of the darkness, there was this very faint, quiet voice within me that was saying, there's something else to this life. There's something more. Don't give up. Just find the thing. Just find it. And even though the noise of the darkness was very loud around me, you know, I'd be having a panic attack almost every hour, just, you know, crippling anxiety and depression. I would be drinking a lot, not in an alcoholic kind of way, more in a social setting. I'd go to settings and environments where other people would be drinking and really use that as an opportunity to numb my feelings. And so even though I had all this noise around me, there was something deep inside of me that said, there's something more here. And so all I needed was that little voice within to let me know that it was time to take myself to the doctors and find something to do about it. I didn't know what I was going to do. I've never experienced this before. Spoke to family members and friends. They were dumbfounded and didn't know how to even approach me. So I was, first of all, offered antidepressants, pharmaceuticals by the doctors. And even though I was in the depths of my darkness, I just knew that this isn't going to stop. This is not the issue here. The issue is not more numbing, which I'd already learned and partake so much of in my formative years. So another thing I said after she offered me that, I said, please, you know, I'm really desperate here. I need help. I really need help. And what she did say was, here's a number you can call. And it was this kind of emergency suicide line. So I call this line, they take you through a questionnaire, and I do the questionnaire, and I'm like, when can I have an appointment? Like, I need help, I need it now. They're like, we'll contact you in a few weeks. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. You know, I just said a little prayer to God, even though my faith at that point wasn't particularly strong or disciplined. And I got a call quite soon after, maybe a week or so after, letting me know that I have a space for cognitive behavioral therapy. And that's when I really began my spiritual awakening. That's when I started to come home to myself. That journey began. I started to wake up to realize that what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking, they're interconnected. So that's what CBT really taught me, is the way that you feel and the way that you think are aligned with each other. If you change one of them, you'll change the other one. So that was a bridge for me. I really needed that. Mm-hmm. And it was a homework that I had on breathing that pretty much catapulted me into the world of spirituality, personal development. And it was a soul calling, essentially. So it led me to that soul calling. Mm-hmm. And something I noticed about the CBT was that it was very surface level. It was very just that first layer. And so anyways, I graduate now from the skin of my teeth, and I start working in the financial services industry, working for financial institutions. On paper, I'm really living this dream. You know, I'm doing all of the mainstream tick boxes, getting a big job in the city, and, you know, wearing the nice clothes and doing all the things. And
what did you study? May I ask? What did you study in college?
Of course. Yeah, I studied in university banking practice and management, and it was an honors degree.
Totally,
yeah. And so, you know, I'm doing the things, I'm doing well as well. Learning a lot, and still something's not wrong, and I'm still continuing this personal development journey, you know, each day feeling less and less anxiety, each day feeling less and less depression, getting better each day, and something was still not quite right. So that provided the perfect invitation for me to start looking into what is the root cause of the way I'm feeling. What's the real reason why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling? You know, beyond the next layer of tools that you can use to subside your anxiety. Well, what's underneath that? What's causing this? And that is when I started to develop my own methodology. That is when I started to, unbeknownst to me at the time, create this step-by-step guide, you know, being a Virgo rising, that is innately within me to want to create this step-by-step guide, to want to create this process. And so I started to realize that the way I was feeling was rooted in unresolved childhood trauma. I had suppressed all of my childhood trauma. And as I started to unravel the childhood trauma, I started to process the emotions, your body, and I was meditating every single day, I have done for the last decade, your body starts to go into a parasympathetic state. And when it does that, memories start coming back. Things that you forgot about and suppressed because it was too dangerous in the environment at the time starts to come back. You start to recall things. Then I was learning how to do something with that, how to alchemize. Because as we know, energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transferred or transformed. So I had to learn that, okay, these root causes are coming up now. I'm starting to realize the real reason why I'm feeling what I'm feeling. Okay, great. How do I use alchemy to change this feeling, this horrendous memory I have, into something that now is something I'm okay with? And I see the light in it, and I see the purpose, and I see the full picture rather than just the zoomed in memory, just that one moment in time.
What year was this, may I ask? You know?
It was over the course. So I'm a big advocate of things that are super special take time. I'm not, you know, someone that advocates for something like just a quick fix, just a band-aid or a plaster to put over the wound. So it was a course over a period of time from, just thinking of the year, from 2012.
Okay, yeah, it's so because that year shows up a lot for people. So that's why I was curious, because you know, as collective, we're going through things as well. So around that time. Cool.
Yes, yes.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And so anyways, fast forward now to 2018 or 19. And I get the big job. I get the big one. I'm like, oh, I'm at this place, I'm at this huge company, it's a FTSE 250, you know, I'm on the stock market now. You know, I got the big pay rise that I wanted. I got everything looking so snazzy on paper. I'm doing all these really cool things and going to these cool events. And at that point, my consciousness had raised so much. I was religiously meditating. I was reading consciousness books constantly because the environment I was in was just suffocating. Mm-hmm. And my soul did not want to surrender to that. It chose not to surrender to that environment. Anyways, as you know, God will ping you right out of an environment, kicking and screaming if you have to be, if it's not right for you. So that's what happened with me. This beautiful thing, the contract I had didn't end up getting extended. And I was devastated because I'm like, what on earth am I going to do? And so I did the thing that I always do, and I meditate and I ask questions. What is my next step? How do I serve? Because I realized over that course of time, the more childhood trauma I'd healed, the more I came home to myself, I realized like, oh yeah, I've always loved helping people. I've always loved connecting with people. I've always loved just making people smile and laugh. So I was like, oh yeah, wait, I am supposed to help people in some way. The more I asked, the more it became clearer and clearer to me that I'm here to be of service to people. I'm here to provide information. I'm here to communicate a message to them that activates them and helps them come home to themselves. Mm-hmm. And it helps them feel this deep inner peace and nourishment and care that they always wanted, that they always knew they were worthy of, even if they didn't experience it up until that point. So now I help adults overcome their childhood trauma. As you can see, that progression of that journey kind of naturally happened. And I also help entrepreneurs to build their own businesses. And I do that, and I work with water as well. I work with sacred living water. And I am a Skystrologist. So I'm really excited to bring forth all of the drops and the wisdom that I've experienced and all the ways that I help clients with as well, and weave that into Skystrology to help connect the dots for people and really give them that sense of you are perfect as you are. And you can tell even from my journey that yes, we're going to go through some strange things in life. We are going to go through some bumpy times, some really scary times. It's all connected. It's all purposely aligned. It's all part of the plan. And when you can have that moment to zoom out, because you get that opportunity, in a Skystrology consultation, to zoom out and see the whole picture, to see all of the experiences, then it's like, oh, okay, I can surrender myself to go into the flow now. I can be present in this moment, and I can just be, and I can experience this experience for what it is without having it to be something else.
Yeah, so I kind of felt there's a little missing piece. So the journey so far, once destiny took in and you didn't have your contract renewed. What year was that?
2019.
Oh, okay. And then, because we met during Jilly, who's been really impactful in both of our lives, the water priestess over Instagram, with her sharing of water and the Kangen water, where that has even impacted my understanding of myself and the connection to biology and spiritually informations as well. So we were both in her first Merchant Mermaid, really about taking our gifts and heart-based souls wanting to be of service in our authenticity. So yeah, could you kind of share a little bit about how that was, impacting your journey from 2019, and then maybe connect with and how, if you feel called, how Skystrology came into that, and has kind of happened 29, and then a lot of people, as we all know, we had different circumstances in 2020. So I would love to hear how that actually.
Yes, that's a great question. Yes, I'm so grateful to Jilly for bringing us together. Wow, it really is so aligned. So I will explain just really quickly, just to give a backdrop on my water awakening. So as I'm now overcoming my childhood trauma, and I'm looking for all these new modalities and these tools to come home to myself, to feel like myself again, to feel like the real me, before anything weird happened to me, before I felt like there were pieces of me that were lost, I was studying an ancient Hawaiian ritual and practice called Ho'oponopono. And I fell in love, my soul fell in love just so quickly. As soon as I knew about it, it was just so deeply resonant with this deep part of me that I chose to study Ho'oponopono. I chose to become a practitioner first, and then a master practitioner of Ho'oponopono.
Oh, okay. What year was that? That was your first, where you went and you acquired this skill.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, because I never had heard of it. I think you were one of the first people I heard about it from.
Yeah. And it's, I feel it deep within my bones that it's part of my past lives, and it's a remembrance, and it's kind of resurfaced in this lifetime for me. Mm-hmm. The year, it was probably about 5 years ago. So
So
2017.
before the lockdowns and everything.
Yeah, well before that.
So it's part of that, you know,
That
awakening to your childhood drama and part of
exactly.
your mythology and how you built the childhood drama.
Exactly.
Drama.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know, when you're healing, you don't always realize that you're healing eventually to go on to be of service. At the time when you're healing, you're just trying to figure out how to feel better. You just want to feel like yourself. You just want to feel peace.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm on this course now, and there are little clues that I reflect on, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's so interesting. Little clues that popped in to activate my water awakening. And one of those was the blue bottle. So the blue bottle comes from the practice of Ho'oponopono. That's where it comes from. Mm-hmm. And the blue bottle signifies the ability to return the water of this land, of this earth, back to its origin, back to its original state. The blue color represents water in its original state. Mm-hmm. And so I was learning about that. I had a blue bottle well before I joined the Wake, and I was practicing it. You're also invited to charge the water in the sun, and the sun is made out of hydrogen, 90% hydrogen, 10% helium. So the majority of it's hydrogen, and you know, that infusion of hydrogen into the water and all those beautiful sun rays and those codes are magical. And I would notice it was started to heal my throat, because that's also what it's about. It's there to heal your throat and your voice, which as a child is very much silenced. So it was all very, very much in alignment. And another thing that came through was a book called You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty. And so I remember just having this feeling, being like, oh, I really want to read that book. That sounds like a great book.
Thirsty.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I carry on. I finished the course. You know, I've integrated Ho'oponopono into my methodology. I have such a deep respect for it, having become a master practitioner, really understanding the ancientness of this practice. And just really honoring the sacredness of the practice and realizing my responsibility in the whole thing. It's a lot to do with responsibility, which I can go into another time. And so fast forward a couple years to 2020, and I find water priestess Jilly on Instagram, and she starts posting you know, different things about the water. And I was like, oh, wait, hang on, that resonates so much with me. You know, I'm drinking out of this blue water vessel and just so connected. And she starts talking about the merchant mermaid, and my soul, when my soul has a message for me, it has a message for me, and it's we're doing this now kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't really know exactly what it was. I just knew my soul was like, buy the ticket, attend the seminar. It doesn't matter, you know, Claudette, the time difference. Doesn't matter that you're going to be up until 4 a.m. in the morning, the rising, sorry, you're going. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. So anyways, I attend, and it's in October 2020. That's the first ever Merchant Mermaid, and I'm blown away. And Claudette is on the screen, and she's presenting, and she's talking about Skystrology. And immediately, again, I had another soul call that just said, you're doing this. You're connecting. Go and connect with Claudette. And I was a little nervous. You know, this would be my first time that I start to connect with soul family. And I've been calling it in. I've been watching videos prior to that all about soul family. And, you know, at the time, I didn't know you were soul family until the moment we started talking, and we just hit it off immediately. And it was just such a vibe. And find out you're in London as well. And
all right, yeah, that we're in London.
Yeah. October 2020.
Oh, yeah, before my birthday, you sent me some nice sweets for my birthday.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm so excited because I'm learning about Skystrology in this Merchant Mermaid course, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. This really makes sense to me. Again,
You
that's so
want to have it
cool.
because I wasn't teaching them. I was just sharing because Jilly, I always have to, feel called or like just, I'm so grateful. And I always want to say, if it wasn't for Jilly, 80% of the people would not have known about Skystrology. I didn't have the platform. I'm, sometimes can be really kind of clumsy with words and things like that. Even Jilly would sometimes go, "What do you mean by this?" Or what do you think of this? And she's just really my angel. I mean, I can see that mathematically now, but she was the angel that invited me gave me the first opportunity to speak to people in her webinar. And then at that time, she would say, "Do you know your Skystrology?" And people go, "Oh, I got to know my Skystrology, I guess, like you." And then they would book a consultation, which of course, as you know, the consultations are kind of a learning experience, really. It's not just a reading, it's learning. And Trisha had a discovery call, and I remember I said, "Oh, my birthday, I don't really like cake." And then, surprise on my birthday there was a package of cake. And then you were, I think, well, you were the first consultation that I had with somebody I didn't know in person, which was also very unique and stuff. So it was really a physical experience as well, because we know a lot of people get to know people, and it's great online. And it's so funny how far away some people are that we feel so close to as soul family. And so it was really a gift, a magical gift, a divine gift, that someone, who was so loving and open and curious to also be in the same town, and we could meet and go out to lunch and things like that, and have a in-person consultation. And even at the beginning, when I was just putting things together, she's like, "We should do something together." And I was still like answering the call of what I was putting together. I hadn't even had a certification course, method, anything at that time yet. I was just, experiencing, starting to be of service.
Just as you're talking about that, it's bringing back all these memories of how our Skystrology community just started forming. And I feel like a big part of that was when you mentioned in that first meeting that we had together, in that first consultation I had in person of Skystrology, you started talking about the 0 degree group that we'd formed, that you created for us. You created this beautiful space where we would, all of us who have a 0 degree in our sky, would come and we would chat, and we would just share what we're going through and our observations and our drops and our wisdom and our codes. And it really was such a special place for us, even though, we may not know everything about Skystrology at that point. There's just magic in being shown a different perspective, and your left brain knowing it's a mathematical alignment. It's mathematical, It's just that harmony of the left and the right brain, because a lot of the observations and the drops and the wisdom that we have come through us is from our right brain, which can be quite abstract. And when we know that there's a mathematical alignment and calculation and alignment with that, magic happens, the alchemy happens. And that alchemy really allowed a lot of us to connect with each other and start to grow this Skystrology community and start to talk about it more, and even encouraged us, well, me, I can say, to look up more at that time, because I knew other people were doing it, other people got it, and it even brought up, lots of questions and curiosities in me about different types of ways of approaching the stars and the heavenly bodies, the different methodologies that are out there right now. And I just began to ask more and more questions and just become just so curious. And really for me, it was through having these consultations with Claudette. I remember something that really stood out for me, Claudette, when you said to me, you have everything you need. Because I was expressing to you at the time that I felt like something, I didn't know what to do next or something to that degree, because I was very new to this industry and wasn't exactly sure, I was figuring it out. And you saying that to me, after sharing all of these alignments and these things about me that just resonated so much. And it just really helped me to honor who I am now. At that time, it was now in that moment. Not I need to do this and then I can do that. Not I need something outside of me to go to this next stage of my life. Like I need more healing tools. I need more this, I need more that. I was like, oh, now, the time is now. I can do this now. I can show up now. I don't have to wait. I don't have to be better. I'm great as I am.
Yeah. I like that you brought that up because I was having another conversation about that, and it brings in, the part that I was curious to share about the mindset experience, which I'm actually going to rename because mindset I find is also a program. But exactly what you were talking about is about we've been conditioned, programmed to think, oh, we're not enough, and we have to, like Trisha was saying, I have to do this first, I have to do this before I'm allowed to do that, which is just a outside construct. It's a mindset. It's what our mind's been set to be programmed to think that we're not enough, and therefore we have to get things outside of ourselves in order to do what we actually intuitively feel and that our purpose and our soul wants to do, which is so much a big point of having this capsule, if you will, because the mind, well, we're going to call it what it is, it's a theory, but it's mana. Mana is actually our spiritual knowing. And the mindset is something that has been created to actually detach us since, how you should be having a baby, lying down, waiting for it to be injected when it comes into like all these things that what we're told is supposed to work like this. We're finding out it doesn't have to work like this, and that we're going back to origin, which also like the water journey comes back, because that's the live water is back to origin. And so much of what people are interested in is going back to origin. And what's beautiful about actually the live water and Skystrology is the biology and the scientific, you're going to say the mathematical, because we're working with the true energies, and now we can measure these energies, and like Trisha was saying, the right brain and the left brain coming together, because a lot of what the energy, I remember we're going to soon have Emoto's birthday, the scientist who they call pseudoscientist, but he's a Japanese scientist who did research and found that, how we can transfer energy to the water molecules. And that was called woohoo. And now we're finding a lot that when we really are having a awakening of changing our quote unquote mind, are connecting with the spirit, with our divine selves, if I will, that there is, like they say, God is a mathematician. When they say that there is more to these understandings than the woohoo, that there's science, that there's mathematics, and that now we have the tools and absolutely no excuse not to honor the fact that we can marry these two together, that they do fit together. And with that, then empowerment comes automatic, and just a new approach to using these tools to be of service, if you will. Did you find that with the mindset? Well, like, was talking about the mana set, as a note, the new part with the mindset going. That's why I called it the mindset, Skystrology mindset, because we do have a lot of people who look up. There's True Sidereal, there's 13 sign astrology, and other methods that use their own calculation, mathematical calculation of the true sky, but they are still using the mindset, the vocabulary, so many things that are still based on the Western antiquated mindset of this terminology and these ideas that label people and limit people's ability to understand. And I, honestly you just have to listen to any transmission of a Western astrologer when they talk about full moon or anything. A lot of the time it's fear mongering, it's telling you what's going to happen and things like that, which, kind of narrows the possibilities down.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the Skystrology education on mindset and building that awareness that you're not just a this sign. You're not just a Leo. You're not just a...
You're not a sign at all.
You're not a sign at all. Exactly. And, it's so funny for me as I was learning, because I went through such a big process of unlearning when I was learning about Skystrology. Because prior to that, just, to let you guys in, I used to resonate with Western astrology, and the conditioning of Western astrology made me feel and resonate with this idea of being a Leo. That was the limited amount of astrology that I knew of. That was all I knew. I just knew I was a Leo and it meant this. This is what it meant, specific words. And there were some words in there that I used to be like, that's not me. That's not me. I'll just ignore those. That's what I used to do. Just ignore the words I didn't like, as to clutch on to the ones I did that did describe me. And then, even in my teenage years, I would be reading my daily horoscope. And it's so funny for me now, reflecting back on that, just how interesting it is to shift and to let people know as well, like, if you are attached to Western astrology or any other type of astrological calculations, that you can shift. It is possible to learn a different thing and just be so wowed and amazed by it and just feel so expansive. That's the big contrast I feel between the two. Is the other types of astrology that I resonated with felt very limited. It was very black and white. It was very this and that. And then Skystrology is really expansive, and it invites you to look at other areas. It invites you to see the full picture. It invites you to tap into your own energies based on these activating words that are related to these constellations, that are related to these heavenly bodies. So it really allows you to have your own experience, your own unique experience. Whereas I've found previously, when I was attached, me and other Leos were having the same experience because we were reading the same thing. We were using the same words, and then here in Skystrology, I could be born on the same day, same time as someone else, somewhere else in the world, and our experience and our sky will look different. And it will have a different feel to it, and it will have completely different messages and activations, weaved within. So it's so interesting to me just to see my own evolution with it, and to really honor just how impactful it is to not be closed in and just cupboarded in, closeted in into just one thing, to know that you are so multidimensional, you are all of the great things about you. You know, you're not somebody else's version of you. You're not, and you know, this is really going to resonate with the people out there that always felt like they couldn't quite fit into the mold of society. You know, people out there that are like me, where you just know that you're different. You may have been the black sheep of the family, like I was, still am to this day. You may be the one that just thinks different, acts different. You know, sometimes you see it in families, in the royal family, just to bring them up because they've been having a lot of press. I don't know if you watched the clips of Prince Louis acting very different from his siblings. You know, very boisterous, very playful, very funny, you know, just not going to, he just refuses to comply with, I guess, all of the expectations that are put upon him. And so you have that in families. You have certain kids that will come out and they'll just be different from everyone else. And they just won't want to do the same thing as everyone else because they know there's something more than just what you're told. And Skystrology offers us this opportunity to start to look up, listen, you know, and connect to our own true selves, our own essence.
I'm curious, so how do, as your talents and experience, especially of being a child trauma expert and now having spent a year studying Skystrology and being in mentorship with me, how, I'm just curious to know, how are you planning to integrate the two?
Well, the first thing I'd like to mention is about the experience you'll have with me. That's the first thing. So anyone that knows me, they will definitely share this with you as well, is that through coming home to myself, I recognize the very motherly essence I have, a very nurturing spirit I have, a very safe container that I provide to people, to my clients, to let them feel very safe. And feeling safe is one of our most innate, strongest feelings. If we don't feel safe, it's really hard for us to be present and grounded in this moment. And so the first thing that you'll really feel the most is safe in a protective container, in a protective space where you can just ground in, be yourself, feel present in this moment, and ready to go on this really expansive journey together as we talk more about you, you know, as we talk more about the person who's curious about Skystrology, who's getting their consultation. And then the second way that I'd like to weave in the childhood trauma work that I've done is, as we journey along your sky and we learn more about you, we like to look at the whole picture rather than just a zoomed in version. I'll be sharing, you know, as you share your story with me and as you share more about your life and how things have impacted you and how those are mathematically aligned, as we start to connect those dots together, I'll be sharing ways that you can move forward, how you can alchemize, how you can use the gifts that you have been given, that we can see visually in your sky, the energies that are present, the opportunities you have, where you're headed next, because it kind of does give you that overview of like, oh, okay. And so we have this energy that's going to be present in this space, in this experience.
At this time.
At this time, yeah. And so we can look at, okay, you know, you and your uniqueness, you and your authenticity, you and the beautifulness that you already are now. How can we help you move from point A to point B? What practical, grounded in steps can you take that are truly in alignment with your soul's journey, with your soul's experience? How can you feel more like you? How can you become the master alchemist of your life? So it won't be, on this date, you're going to get married at this time, and on this day, you're going to have a great career. And it's not going to be black and white. It's going to be something you feel inside of you, something that calls you forth into that next stage. That's what Skystrology did for me. As I was mentioning earlier, it called me forth into that next stage. I'll give you a real life example of what happened, and Claudette knows all about this as well. It's very shortly after I had my Skystrology consultation, I had this irrational fear, and honestly, it was rooted in childhood trauma, of showing up on social media. I was worried about what people would think about me. I was worried that I didn't know what to say. I was concerned that I'd be judged, I'd be rejected. I was concerned people won't get what I'm going through, what I'm saying. And that used to hold me back from showing up and just being present on there. And after having this consultation with Claudette, that really shifted for me. And
you make really definite decisions, though. It's just so great because, like she was saying, Trisha was saying, with just kind of what the Western says, oh, you're a Leo. But, may I share what we have is the stars, the sensitivity of the stars were rising at the time of Trisha's birth are actually Virgo. That's what she talks a lot about, grounding in, because it's more than one thing, and talking about using all of your different energies together to alchemize that together to build, as we say, your garden, and to express and to grow like a plant on this planet. And so it was by showing Trisha and seeing for herself, because it's kind of like an education. The consultations are, it's a conversation, and seeing the divine alignments, and then that seeing and putting together, as she spoke about the right and left brain, and then saying yes, and then me not knowing about these anxieties, right? I didn't have any idea about them. And then, but I always say the biggest compliment I feel that I receive from people after a consultation is when they go out and they do those things. They go out and they feel safe enough and confident enough to make the changes. And that's what that's beautiful seeing. So now if you go to Instagram, like one of the most entertaining, fun, expressive reels that you'll see are those from Trisha, where she is showing up for herself. And it is gorgeous. It's absolutely, so hydrating for me to actually see how that came about. So thank you so much for doing you, like for showing up. It's so beautiful, that ripple effect. Yeah.
Thank you for studying Skystrology for all those years and coming and sharing it with us. And, we're all expanding in this way. And
well, it's not me, it's like I just called it Skystrology because somebody said I got the drop under the skies of Egypt. I got the drop by making the decision of love, taking care of my mother, because otherwise I would have never ended up in Egypt under a clear night sky, more or less 362 days of the year, because it is part of the experience that I had on a daily basis, that I was able to make these connections and be the messenger, if you will, of this concept coming into people's awareness at the time that it did, when we all were getting off the hamster wheel for a second with the 2020 mandates and things like that. Everything is so divinely timed. I love to see this to be able to witness the divine work that is being done through us, right? Through us. And so yes, I'm very
Mm.
grateful to be the one sharing and
Yeah.
starting this. And that's what's so important for me about the Skystrology Collective and about the community, because there's lots of people who will study astrology and find out, oh, that's not true, and then they'll wake up to the live sky and then they'll feel a call to serve people. There's a lot of people who are intuitive as well, and a lot of people I find who have 0 degrees because it is a gift of intuition, and they will want to be astrologers. And we have so many astrologers, but where do we have the community? Where do we have the souls that are here at this time coming together, supporting each other, understanding, having discussions, have like our Zoom think tanks and, think Zooms at 0 degrees. All these components make up this wave that we are moving through and creating ripples in people's awareness together. And I am so grateful for all the souls who heard the call and accepted also the invitation to take this a little bit further, because as I said, all those who started with the calendar, we started with the calendar and then with the Zoom calls, that's since 2020. So really you've been following the sky on a daily basis since 2020, and it's since a year this month actually that you've gone into one-to-one mentorship with me on a weekly basis, which is a true commitment to calling and to preparing yourself to be of service to people from all over the world. So I'm so excited. Thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy day to share your journey. I'm so excited to see the deep work that you're going to be able to offer people, because as we all know, and I have to put a little realness into it, our children have a very strong need, especially now, to be protected by us. So now that we know we are doing better, and Trisha, has been able to go through that experience herself and now is continuing the work. And there's, people waking up to, I bet people waking up to not even knowing they had these childhood experiences, traumas that needed to be revisited. Is that correct?
So many people. Yeah. And even people who probably aren't necessarily spiritual are waking up to it. I feel it's a collective thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a mass thing where people, as they start to move their sympathetic nervous system into more of a parasympathetic nervous system, where their karma, it's going to start coming up naturally. They're going to start asking questions. Going to be a little curious. Like, oh, I didn't know that happened to me. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
What do I do now? People want answers. So, we may not be giving you the date that you're going to get married necessarily. You'll be getting a lot more. You'll be getting the next stage of your evolution, the next stage of your soul's callings. That is what you are likely to feel.
Yeah. Well, I hope everyone has an amazing moment. This is being taped on July 19th, and I just wanted to share with everyone because we have a very eventful month. And here to this week, we have Chiron, which is a symbol of a key. And just to kind of basically, a lot of times Western says it's a wounded healer, but in Skystrology, we call it a key because, again, this word wounded is also a program, because we are all wounded. Some people, you wound your knee, you get up and go. It's an experience. Like failure is an experience. You don't have to attach and hang on to these words that make you feel like you have less than you are. And so what we're looking for are keys and ways to unlock parts of ourselves that actually want to work together, want to solve something about different parts of ourselves so that we can bring balance to our lives. And this week we have the asteroid Chiron that is actually standing still for us, standing still at this very magical time. So if you feel called to ask yourself, what can I understand about myself that would need to have a key, or what key can I find? What solution could I explore by asking questions, like kind of what Trisha just talked about, where people are realizing, oh, what happened in my childhood that perhaps has some effect on how I'm acting right now, right? And where is that key to help me unlock that door? Because it's a journey, and once you have the key, that's the main thing. It's like, whoa, where's the key? I don't know where but yeah, when you know where the key is, then you can start your journey. You know, it's everyday movement and practice. It's baby steps. We're here to have this experience and to be in the present moment right now, like having the key. And today and until the end of the week, Chiron has an invitation for us to ask the questions and be curious about where our keys are within ourselves, and to begin a journey of healing.
Thank you for that, because that is very activating for me as well. Yeah. And keys open doors.
Yeah. Expansion. What's on the other side?
New experience.
So Trisha gives the best hugs. So I got to give you a virtual one. Thank you so much. And thank you, listeners, for listening. If you are curious about Skystrology and the child trauma expert methodology, there are going to be some links because our Skystrologists are in the certification part of their training, and we have some openings for discovery calls where you can find out more about what was happening in the sky at the moment of your birth, even just a short little introduction, right? So that you can just open that door to see clearly that we are definitely connected to what's happening above and what's happening below. Take care of yourselves. Cheerio.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.